People think theft is simple. A stolen watch, a broken window, a man in a mask running down an alley. They don't imagine dark wood offices, silent corridors, and million-dollar secrets sliding into pockets without so much as a creak on the floor. But I've walked into enough of these places to know some of the biggest heists don't involve banks, just signatures, passwords, and silence. This one started on a Thursday. The sky was gray. My office smelled of cheap coffee and wet paper. The kind of morning that tells you something's coming. Her name was Marla Durant. Mid-30s. Sharp angles, sharper eyes. Executive assistant at Radnor Group, one of those boutique investment firms that turns failing companies into golden assets. Legally. Mostly. She wore a navy coat, no makeup, hair tied back tight. She wasn't here for flattery. "Something's gone missing," she said as soon as I closed the door. "Missing? A ledger. Black leather cover. Kept in a drawer no one was supposed to open." She slid an envelope across my desk. A retainer. Generous. I didn't ask why she hadn't gone to the police. I already knew. The Radnor offices sat on the 37th floor of a glass building downtown. Polished, quiet, clean. The kind of place that looked like it had nothing to hide. But I've seen enough of these places to know anything that cleans hiding more than dirt. I met Eduardo first, security manager, ex-military. Big hands, bored eyes. "You're the one Marla called?" "That's me. You're not with the cops. That's why I'm here." He didn't like me. Good. I prefer it that way. Makes people sloppy. He let me look at the security feeds. The footage from the previous night showed Marla locking the office at 7:42 p.m. as usual. Lights off. Doors secured. Then, nothing. No one entered until 6:03 the next morning, when Eduardo himself walked in to open up. But here's the thing. One frame was missing. Just one. 12 seconds of static at 3:17 a.m. A glitch, he called it. Glitches don't bother me. Patterns do. I examined the office. Marla's boss, Vincent Radnor, had a minimalist setup. Mahogany desk. Leather chair. Art on the walls, all in grayscale. The drawer in question had no visible scratches, no forced entry. But the lock had a small indentation on the inner rim. Tiny. Clean. Too clean. Professionals. They didn't take money. No electronics. Just the ledger. "What was in it?" I asked. "I don't know exactly," Marla said. But Vincent was paranoid about it. He'd take it out, write in it, then lock it back up. It wasn't company bookkeeping. It was personal. That raised the stakes. Because in places like Radnor Group, personal usually means criminal. I started watching people. From the lobby cafe. Vincent Radnor was clean-cut, calm, and cold. The kind of man who trusted no one and fired people with a smile. That morning, he didn't come in. But Marla did. So did Lyle Tennant, VP of Compliance. Tall, expensive suit, and the oily confidence of someone who's kept too many secrets for too long. Then there was Kayla from accounting, who glanced around like a trapped bird. The intern, Jace, who looked like he hadn't slept in a week. And Eduardo, of course, always watching the cameras, but never the people. I waited until evening, then followed Tennant. He left at 7:10 p.m., walked 2 blocks, and stepped into a bar without looking back. Inside, he met someone, just for 5 minutes, passed a small envelope across the table, then left without finishing his drink. The man he met didn't stay much longer, but I followed him too. He worked for a private courier company, one of those high-end types that specializes in discretion. I didn't need a warrant to know what had been in that envelope. The next day, I interviewed Vincent Radnor himself. He didn't flinch when I mentioned the missing ledger. "You've been snooping," he said flatly. "That's what I'm paid for. You won't find it. And you won't find who took it. Why's that? Because it's already in motion. And if I were you, I'd stop asking. I hate when people tell me that." That night, I broke into the courier's loading bay. It was stupid, risky, illegal. But I found the logbook. One entry stood out. Delivery from Tenant L. To private box, Havenlock Storage Facility. Timestamped 7:46 p.m. I didn't go there that night. That would have been obvious. Instead, I waited and watched. Havenlock Storage sat near the docks, far from downtown's polished glass towers. The air smelled of oil, salt, and the kinds of secrets that get dumped into the river when no one's looking. The unit registered under tenant's delivery had been leased under a shell name, C. J. Maxwell. No phone, No forwarding address, no ID trail. Classic. I waited until just before midnight, when the workers were gone and only the security guard remained, an old man with a limp and a thermos of coffee that smelled stronger than his sense of duty. I didn't need long. Unit 6B. Metal door. Cheap padlock. Inside, 2 crates, 1 folding chair, and a leather-bound black book wrapped in cloth and sealed in plastic. The ledger. I didn't open it right away. Not there. Instead, I left. Quiet. Careful. Got back to my office before the weight of what I just found could settle in. I opened it alone. No title. Just neat, tiny handwriting, all in black ink. Dates, names, numbers. But not just any names. Judges, prosecutors, executives. And payments next to each one. Large ones, with notes. Favorable ruling, March 22nd. Delayed inspection. Option signed. Insider confirmation. This wasn't just a list. It was insurance. Blackmail. Perfectly catalogued. Years of it. I flipped to the last pages. One name stood out, Vincent Radner. Next to it, a string of payments, and then another name, Lyle Tennant. Only this time, the note read, Ledger promised. Transfer agreed. May 11th, today's date. The realization hit me like a cold slap. Tennant hadn't stolen the ledger. He was selling it, but not for himself. He was delivering it, likely under pressure, or maybe ambition. The question was, who paid for it? I called Marla. Did Vincent ever talk about the ledger to anyone else? He wouldn't even tell me what was inside. Did he seem nervous lately? Not nervous, but different. He had me book a flight to Zurich last week, one way, tomorrow morning. I didn't like that. Radner had no reason to flee, unless he knew the ledger was out in the world and that someone might use it. Or worse, unless someone was coming for him. I headed back to Radner Group, 10:40 p.m. The building was locked up, but lights still burned on the 37th floor. Someone was there. I went up the fire escape, saw a shadow move through the frosted glass. Inside the office, Eduardo, security chief. But he wasn't at the desk. He was standing at the safe, Vincent's. I watched through the door for a moment. He typed in a code fast, practiced. The safe clicked open. He pulled out a flash drive and slipped it into his jacket pocket. I stepped inside. Looking for something? He didn't even flinch. I figured you'd come, he said. You always break into clients' safes? Only when they break their promises. He turned. Vincent told me I'd be protected. He said if anything ever happened, I'd be covered. But the moment that ledger went missing, he booked a flight and cut his phone off. So you decided to protect yourself, wouldn't you? I believed him. Because in this business, everyone has dirt. It's just a question of how deep they buried it. That night I didn't sleep. I read through the ledger again, page by page. There were enough names in it to set the city on fire, and only one person with enough motive, access, and precision to make it disappear without a trace. But before I tell you who, let me ask, who would benefit the most from this ledger being found? Who knew its value, and its danger, and who was the only person in Radner's circle that he truly, blindly trusted? Think carefully, because the answer is coming. The storm broke around 3 a.m. I was already on my way to the Radner estate, wind peeling across the windshield, streets empty like they knew something was coming. I pulled up to the wrought iron gate, no security, unlocked. The house loomed in the dark like a lie someone forgot to finish telling. Inside, dim lights, jazz playing softly, and Vincent Radner himself sitting on the edge of his leather couch with a tumbler of scotch in hand. He looked tired, not afraid, just resigned. He didn't flinch when I sat down across from him. You came, he said. Didn't think you'd be here. Where else would I go? It's over, isn't it? I set the ledger down on the coffee table. He didn't even look surprised. How long did you know it was missing? I asked. Since yesterday morning. And you just sat here? It was never about running, Pierce. Not for me. I've been running for 20 years already. He poured a second glass and pushed it across. You know, when you have something like this. He nodded at the book. You think you're in control. But you're not. Not really. It's a time bomb. Every year you keep it, every name you write. You're just winding the clock tighter. And Tennant? I asked. He was supposed to deliver it to an intermediary. I don't even know who. That was the point, clean hands. But I think he got nervous. Maybe he looked inside. Vincent's voice cracked a little. I warned him never to look. Later that morning, Marla came to my office, hair wet from the rain, red eyes. She dropped a thumb drive on my desk. "It's a copy," she said, "from his safe. I took it the night you came, before you got there." I looked at her. Something in her face had changed. "You knew," I said. She nodded slowly. "I knew for years. Not everything, but enough, and I stayed quiet, because I thought it was just business, until Lyle died, and Vincent just kept living." Her voice was low now. "That ledger wasn't stolen, detective. I made sure it would be found. I told Lyle where it was. I convinced him to take it. I made sure the lock code was left behind. I even forged the storage paperwork. And I was the one who told Eduardo where to find the flash drive." "Why?" She looked at me like I already knew. "Because someone had to stop him. And you were the last honest man I could find. So here it is. The truth. Vincent Redner built his empire on blackmail. Lieutenant tried to stop it. Too late. Marla pulled the strings to bring it all down. No courtroom. No arrests. But the next day, the ledger was sent, anonymously, to 3 newspapers and 1 federal agency. By the end of the week, half the city's elite were lawyering up. Vincent Radner disappeared from public life. His Zurich flight was cancelled, his estate seized, and Marla? She didn't come back. She left a note. 2 lines. "You said the truth would find its way out. I just helped it along. People always ask me how I sleep, after cases like this. I tell them, some nights better than others, but on the nights when it's bad, I pour a drink, look out the window, and wait for the next knock at the door. Because the city never stays quiet for long. Not when you're Detective Pierce. And the next case is already waiting."